What's up, gamers, and welcome back for more WotC-20. Today's matchup is Giovanni's Machamp versus Bayou Bats. Second deck being E-Reader for Alligator paired with Dark Crobat to take off some babies. So right off the bat, it's going to be a baby Cleffa in the active for Giovanni's Machamp, and for Alligator, a Totodile in the active. That is Expedition Totodile with a notable lightning weakness. And it looks like it will be getting a water attach for turn, going for Paralyzing Gaze, and that is a coin flip to paralyze, but it was a tails on the baby rule, so you need 2 flips there. And then first turn for Giovanni's Machamp, putting down a Porygon. So not a very common support mon to see, but that is a free retreater, so that is always nice. Looks like it'll be warping a warp energy to get the Cleffa out of active and then free retreating that Porygon back out. You do not have a limit on your free retreats in this format. And then a copycat for it looks like 6. We'll talk more about this Porygon and how it fits into the deck in a bit, but first off, from what you can see on the card, there are 2 notable attacks. The first one being Conversion 1 for Colorless Attach. It says if the defending Pokemon has a weakness, you can change it to a type of your choice other than colorless. Otherwise, Psybeam for 3 colorless attaches, deals 20, and a coin flip to Confuse. So, useful attacks, not completely irrelevant. Conversion 1 definitely worth talking about more later as Giovanni's Machamps get online, and it looks like it'll be a Cleffa to the bench and an Eek for the turn, refilling that hand with a fresh 7. Over to Bat's side, you can see a Trader in hand and also a bunch of Bats, as well as a Breeder, a Croconaw, which immediately comes down, and we will see this Trader trade in the Dark Crobat. Croconaw in that active has 80 HP, still the lightning weakness, and then a bunch of colorless attack options. 2 colorless is tackle for 20, 3 colorless is takedown for 40 with 10 recoil. And looking at the deck here, seeing what's getting found with Trader, it's going to be a Cleffa straight onto the bench. Retreat cost of 1 on Croconaw is also worth noting. And while Trader is resolving, we will see if that Croconaw ends up retreating. 2 water in hand, so has the attach for turn onto the Cleffa, and will in fact retreat. Rolls for an Eek, and it is good, so hand of 3 goes back into the deck, shuffles, and a fresh 7 will be drawn. And now Giovanni's Machamp. There's the first Machop. Now, there's only a single Giovanni's Machop ever printed and a single Giovanni's Machoke, as well as a Giovanni's Machamp, so you get what you get with these guys. But each of them have some pretty gambly attacks. It's kind of the flavor of the cards. You can see a Vending Mime in hand just to take care of weakness and resistance. When you're dealing with a big mono attacker like Machamp, you want to be able to deal with anything that might resist fighting, and quite a few things resist fighting. Especially in this format, Rocket Zapdos is one card that comes to mind, but also just having that Psychic weakness. Psychic is pretty powerful. E-Reader Gengar is a very good deck in this format. Jungle Mime sees a good amount of play. Espeon sees a ton of play. So, nothing wrong with getting rid of your Psychic weakness as well if you're Machamp. So that's what the Vending Mime is in that deck for. Both sides eking without an issue. And we're back to for Alligator's turn. You can see a Zubat is now in the hand. It joins the bench. That is the Rocket Zubat, probably the best Zubat art in format, if I have to say so. It is not the best functional Zubat, but if you're not running any Grass Energies or Rainbow Energies, you might as well run the one with the better art. Otherwise, you're probably running the Neo Revelation Zubat, which has Poison Spray for 1 Grass Attach, but like I was just saying, no Grass Energy to be seen here. And computer searching away 2 Water Energies. We'll see if Energy becomes a problem down the line in this matchup. And it looks like Fan Club is going to go and get grabbed with Computer Search. And it will be Fan Club that is supported for turn. Assumedly we'll grab, what, maybe another Totodile, certainly at least one Zubat, if not two. Get all the bats up and running. Good deck peep here. Looks like it's oops, all bats. DCE on that Croconaw does mean it can start attacking. And now with a small enough hand, I assume we will see an Eek attempt. But first an attach for turn. Now attempting Eek. It's off screen, but it looks like it was good, sending that dark Golbat back into the deck. So, good thing that Giovanni's Machamp has two Clefas, because we're going to start seeing some sneak attacks and some surprise bites from those Crobats and Golbats. And there is the Porygon 2. Gets a DCE attach on it as well. Not all Giovanni Machamp decks run DCE, but if you're planning on using Porygon 2 to attack, you can. Going for an Eek here. It is a Tails. So, turns pass back, 2 for Alligator. Porygon 2 has very interesting card text. Retreat cost of 1, fighting weakness, 70 HP. Hypnotic Ray as the attack for 2 colorless is okay, it's 20 damage, and then the defending Pokemon is asleep, so definitely usable. But the real reason you run it in this deck is for backup, the Pokemon power attached to it. We'll talk about that in a second. As for Alligator, joins the fray, and also a water attach for turn means it is fully powered up, so we might see some Rending Jaws soon. Rending Jaws, 2 water and 2 colorless deals 70, but if there are no damage counters on the defending Pokemon, the base damage is 40 instead of 70. So, interesting wording from e-reader, but you can see the synergy with bats being pretty good to enable Rending Jaws to always hit for the maximum of 70. Igglybuff in hand, that's worth noting. And now we are taking a second to read Porygon 2. I will also read Porygon 2 because backup says once during each of your turns before attacking, if you have 2 or fewer cards in your hand, you may draw from your deck until you have 3. The power can't be used if Porygon 2 is affected by a special condition. Another fan club, and this will be a fan club for 1, which I feel like happens a lot now. So if you're wondering how backup plays into Giovanni's Machamp, how the synergy there exists, it is because of Giovanni's Last Resort. Giovanni's Last Resort is basically a max potion, depending on what eras you have played. But you discard your entire hand, and then you can remove all damage counters from one of your Pokemon with Giovanni in the name. So if you are surviving with Giovanni's Machamp, you're Hurricane Punching, Fortitude is active, maybe you have 90 damage on it, you can heal it up to full at the cost of discarding your hand with Last Resort. After using Last Resort, you can then use backup from Porygon 2 to go from 0 cards in hand to 3, so that penalty of Giovanni's Last Resort doesn't feel quite like a last resort as much as a resort. And a Gust is going to bring in Machop. And while I was talking, it looks like Dark Golbat evolved. Sneak attacked that Machop for 40, and that will, or for 10, and then Rending Jaws will come in, dealing 70 to take the knockout. So that's the first prize of the match, going to for Alligator. Another Machop getting another Fighting Energy attached for turn, and an Oak dumping the hand into a fresh 7. Very small hand though for Alligator, so we'll see how this goes. Machoke joins the board with a Focus Band, and Focus Band is very good with Fortitude on Machamp because you can choose to proc your Focus Band before rolling for Fortitude. Or vice versa, you can choose to use Fortitude before your Focus Band. Because you can choose, it is almost always, actually I think it just is always better to use Fortitude first and save that Focus Band for when you need the opponent to force through 2 flips. So with Machoke down, it also has some very interesting attacks. Risky Attack deals 60 for only 1 fighting energy, but it's on a coin flip, and if it's tails, the defending Pokemon takes no damage, and Machoke deals 100 to itself. So, very risky, but Not a bad get out of jail free option if you really have no choice. And then Headlock is pretty usable. 2 fighting and a colorless deals 20. You flip a coin. If heads, it deals 20 plus 20 more and inflicts paralysis. Otherwise, it's just 20. So Headlock's pretty good. Surprise Bite, first Dark Crobat of the match coming in and dealing 20 to that Machoke. Now you also have Feraligatr taking a knockout successfully on Cleffa, surprising now 6-4. Worth noting that Fortitude on Giovanni's Machamp, if you're not familiar with it, it reads, if Giovanni's Machamp would be knocked out by an opponent's attack, flip a coin. If heads, it's not knocked out, its remaining HP is 10. So you can turn that off with Sleep, Paralysis, or Confusion, but it's worth noting that Fortitude would not stop Golbat or Crobat from taking a knockout with their ability. Some Trader here, grabbing that Machamp. And Machamp only has 1 attack for 3 fighting and a colorless. It's Hurricane Punch, which deals 30 damage times the number of heads flipped. And you get 4 shots at that. So flip 4 coins, 30 times the number of heads. Energy removal hits DCE on the active Feraligatr, and as we were saying before, with such a small hand and Cleffa on the bench, that's pretty good, although Feraligatr is never truly stuck. It does have Major Tsunami, where once a turn before you attack if it's active, and if your opponent has any bench Pokemon, the opponent switches, and then you switch. Of course, you can shut that down with a special condition. And it looks like Porygon 2 is going to come in here, deal 20 to Feraligatr. Big 120 HP on that Feraligatr, and it's asleep and stays asleep through the turn. So getting energy removal, also getting put asleep. 100 HP remaining is a little awkward for Machamp to deal with. And now you see the breeder here gives an option to put down a Dark Crobat, skipping Golbat entirely to deal 20. It would also allow for Feraligatr to come down here, but it looks like Crobat's going to get the play to deal 20 to Machamp. Machamp now at 40 out of 100. In between turns, Feraligatr is now awake. Vending Mine back in the hand, joins the bench. Probably won't matter in this matchup. You can see a Warp Energy, another Focus Band, and there's that Giovanni's Last Resort we were talking about. Warp will be the attach for turn. It looks like there is a Switch in the deck as well, so not just purely relying on Warp Energy, but having Switch for Giovanni's Machamp is very nice if you're staring down something like Poison and you don't want Poison to knock it out through Fortitude. Attempting to use backup, but backup can only be used when you have fewer than 3 cards, then you draw up to 3. Could use Last Resort here to get maximum value, but you probably don't want to throw away something like a Focus Band or a Switch. And instead it will be another 20 damage with Sleep Inflicted on Feraligatr, but this time it wakes up, so Porygon 2 using Hypnotic Ray. Turns pass back, but not going to be able to get this Feraligatr to necessarily attack. Major Tsunami declared, both sides will switch. The opponent switches first, and it will be Cleffa versus Cleffa. Water attached for turn onto Totodile, and Eek attempted. It's good. That is a big Eek given the hand. And I believe that Feraligatr has 2 water attached to it, we just can't see them anymore. Now there's a computer search. That's an interesting option. Thinking about it, we'll do it. Getting rid of Resort and Switch. Opting to keep Focus Band. And grabbing a Copycat. That's pretty good. Machamp being red here only has 100 HP, not as big as the 120 on Feraligatr, but Hurricane Punch can be very scary. You can deal 0 damage, 30, 60, 90, or 120, depending on how the dice rolls. So you're never quite safe from Machamp blowing you out of the water, but it also has no control over such a thing. Backup declared there. Grabbed a Warp, it looked like, deciding to Copycat it away anyway. And this should be a fresh 7, thanks to Copycat in response to Eek. Over on Feraligatr side, you can see another breeder, a Gust, a Copycat, as well as an Oak, Goldberry, Town V, and a Cleffa. The final attach has arrived for Machamp here, so now Hurricane Punch can start happening. Another Machop joins the bench. There's also already a Machoke in hand. ER will hit water off of the Feraligatr. Focus Band number 2 comes down onto that new Machop. And it looks like a Machamp's going to come in, try to Hurricane Punch Cleffa. Now, I would be lying if I told you that it is unlikely. Well, it is unlikely for Machamp to get through the baby rule, but then roll a 0 on Cleffa with Hurricane Punch. I've done it twice. I've also hit Cleffa for 120, so this can get ridiculous. Looks like that was a heads on the baby rule from the Fist Pump. Now you need to not hit 4 tails, which it can happen. There's at least 1 heads there. That is a knockout. Machamp taking a prize. First prize of the match for Machamp, prizing now 5-4. No Cleffas left for Feraligatr. Croconaw drawn and evolves a Totodile. Goldberry attaches to Feraligatr, which is good because it's got 40 damage on it. That'll heal it back up to full, but no energy really available. No energy in hand. One thing Giovanni's deck is going to be good at here is keeping a small enough hand, not too big with Porygon, but because of Porygon still able to churn through cards. You could always clog up with evolution lines, but still. A Copycat for 4 is not very enticing, but oaking away your Copycat also feels bad when you have Town V in hand. So now, like we were talking about earlier, computer search discarding 2 water, we are running into a situation where Feraligatr is struggling to find some energy. Worth noting that Crobat does have the fighting resistance, so when I said earlier I wasn't sure if Vending Mime would come into play here, I was wrong. And every single Zubat, Golbat, and Crobat will in fact have that resistance. That is why this Vending Mime is now being gusted into a Copycat for 4. Doesn't want to Oak, doesn't want to Town V just yet. Town V against some water might not be the worst idea. Now with Town V, you cannot just Town V in the water. If you have other valid targets, you have to do up to 5, or you have to do the max of 5 if there are 5 targets. And there's some water energy at least, not enough to get going on attacks though, so the attach will go to Cleffa instead of Feraligatr. Bats will retreat, Cleffa comes in, it will be a free Eek, and turns pass back. That's a big draw, the Warp energy comes down. Or I'm sure it will. There you go. Warp energy onto the vending mine keeps it safe. You can start attacking again. Machamp is now also on board. Second attacker getting loaded up gradually. And this deck does take a while to get up and running with all the attaches. No real acceleration options. It looks like we're going to try to Hurricane Punch our second Cleffa today. Looks like that was a Tails though on the baby rule, so turns pass back to Gator. There's a DCE drawn from the Eek. Goldberry pops in between turns, so Feraligator's at full health. Another Feraligator drawn, so we're about to see two Gators, and there's a Gust, a Croconaw, and a Golbat. Could put 10 damage somewhere. I believe that Machamp still has 40 damage on it. There's Feraligator. Alright, so one Feraligator, the one that's been hanging around and getting healed up, is one attach away from being able to attack again. Another Goldberry. You could delete that whole pile though if you hit well enough with Hurricane Punch. And the other Feraligator on the bench is sitting there with a single water energy on it. Damage being marked on the Porygon 2 from Sneak Attack, so only enough space on the bench now for one more surprise bite from a Dark Crobat, so a little easier to play around those numbers. We see an Eek and turns pass back. Warp energy is drawn off the top. Fighting attach for turn onto that Machoke, like we said before, takes a while to power up. Rolling for Hurricane Punch again on Cleffa again. This time it's good on the baby roll. Now we just need to see one heads. Already putting it in the bin, that's funny. And that is an absolutely exploded Cleffa. 120 to the face, not that it matters, but the same likelihood of that happening was there was the same likelihood of that happening as there was hitting 0, so do with that as you will. Good thing that wasn't 120 to the Feraligator. That probably would have ended the game. There is enough available, yep, enough energy is available to get Rending Jaws going here. Rending Jaws would deal 70, so that would push this Machamp into flipping for Fortitude and then potentially even Focus Band. Alright, now we're seeing Town Volunteers, so 5 basic energies or any of the Mon lines will get shuffled back in here. Was that all energy? That looked like all energy, which makes a lot of sense based on how things have been going. Now, the real question is, will we see these stage 2s start swinging at each other? Looks like yes. Everyone's loaded up and ready to go here. Optimal board state for both. And just like eking against Cleffas, this will be the most WotC-20 coin flippy exchange of all time. And it looks like it was a heads. So Fortitude saves the Machamp at 90 HP. But keep in mind, if there is a Dark Crobat available for Feraligatr, that Machamp will not be saved by either Focus Band or Fortitude. So Surprise Bite could clear the active there. Attach for turn goes to the Machoke on the bench. Gust in hand, Warp in hand, Oak in hand. Also another Porygon too. Just gonna go for a Hurricane Punch. And that looks like 2 heads out of 4. 60 damage, Goldberry will pop, putting this Feraligatr with 20 on it. 100 remaining, which, like I said earlier, 100 damage, a little harder to deal with Hurricane Punch. Just pushes things out of range just a little bit. DCE for turn to the other benched Feraligatr, which is now 1 water attach away from being able to attack as well. There's an item finder. Looks like item finder will discard a water energy and a Totodile. I assume this is going to go and grab a trader to send the Dark Golbat in hand. No, it's going to be a Gust. And it's a Gust on the Porygon. So prizing is no longer 4-4, it's going to be 4-3 as Feraligatr knocks out the Porygon, so that takes care of the hand refill. Fighting attach for turn to Machoke on the bench. Good hand, not worth oaking away here. I really thought we would see Trader from that Golbat into the final Crobat, but it's possible that final Crobat is either prized or in the bin or just missing. Not necessarily in the deck. Rolling for Hurricane Punch. That's at least 3. Nope, that was 120. Wow, so 100 HP was left on that Feraligatr. Hurricane Punch hits for a whopping 120. And that's what this deck can do. You just have no control over it. So prizing, once again, 3-3. There is another Feraligatr on the bench. Fuji will be sending back in a entire bat pile. So there is a Golbat, Crobat, and Zubat in the deck now. So now we know that there's a Crobat for another Surprise Bite, and that could take out the Machamp. Both sides trying to get a benched attacker up and ready. Igglybuff joins the bench. Worth noting, that can turn off the Vending Mine, but not in a meaningful way for the Feraligatr player. 4th fighting attach, now on the Machoke. And we will see a Gust on the Feraligatr that isn't ready to attack. And it will be Hurricane Punch. Will we see another 4 heads? I think we saw 4 heads back to back as well. Just 1 heads this time, dealing 30. Feraligatr has 90 HP remaining, so next turn could be a knockout. There's a Gust in hand as well as a Golbat. No energy again! Major Tsunami will pull in a Cleffa. Or rather, Machamp will switch to Cleffa. Both sides switch to Cleffa. How surprising. But there's no energy for that Cleffa, so turns will pass. Speaking of Cleffa, one comes off the top for Machamp. Machamp joins the bench. Deciding whether or not to Oak. Warp to Machamp, and it will be Oak. So Porygon 2 goes to the discard pile. That might be it for Porygon 2s in the deck, assuming it's a 2-2 support line. Deciding against it, it seems. couple of choices to be made here. Deciding to bring in the Machoke? Is that what's happening? No, surely not. Surely not. You wouldn't headlock a Cleffa. You wouldn't download more RAM. Hurricane Punch attempted. It's a heads. Needs to hit one heads still. Tiny dice go everywhere. Because this is the most WotC deck ever. Big roll. I see at least one heads. Only deals 30, only needs to deal 30. Prizing is now 2 to 3. That Machamp just dangling on 10 remaining HP. There's a water energy. But there's no Cleffa to eke. Gust doesn't do a ton here either. Feraligatr comes in. Will it swing at Machamp? No, you can't gaze the active. So that doesn't work. Could gaze the Mime, which would not help. Alright. Major Tsunami not gonna swing at the Machamp, doesn't want to risk it and then get cracked back. Gaze now hitting the Machamp, which also doesn't do anything. Now free retreating. Gusting in the Machamp. And now going for Rending Jaws. So, yeah. That should not be happening. Well, prizing is now 2 to 2. But yeah, so here's how Gaze works, if you read the card. Once per turn, before you attack, you can choose a benched Pokemon with a power. That power stops working until the end of the turn. This effect ends if that Pokemon leaves the bench, so by gusting in Giovanni's Machamp, Fortitude would have been re-enabled. So I guess in that instance, Fortitude just wasn't rolled for and the focus band failed. Except, as I'm reading Fortitude, it's not an option to use it or not. It always procs if it would be knocked out. So, yep. Feel free to talk about it in the comments, I guess. Really got to find another Machamp here. Gonna Town V. Again, prizing 2 to 2. There's a Machamp. There's a bunch of fighting energy. Is there another Machamp to grab? I don't think so. It's gonna grab a Machoke. That makes sense, given the Machop on the bench. Tiny deck. Is Machamp prized? We shall see. Plenty of energy. There's a trader. Alright, that'll work. Yep, trading in a Vending Mime to go and grab that Machamp that was just Town V'd in. And that Machoke is ready to evolve, also has enough energy and is ready to Hurricane Punch. Only needs 3 heads on this Feraligatr to get the knockout. That would deal 90. So here comes another one. And it's a big boy. Just 2 big boys going at it. Keep in mind Item Finder in hand from Machamp, that could close the game out. Instead, Attach for turn will go to Machop. And Machoke will also evolve there, so can't Item Finder right now, but we'll draw next turn, I suppose. Hurricane Punch. Alright. the only heads landed in between the mats, so now that Feraligatr is up to 60 out of 120. And it looks like there's a Zubat and a Golbat in hand with a Water Energy. Not any way to reasonably buff the damage from Rending Jaws here because this Machamp is at full. And Major Tsunami declared. Both sides switch. Cleffa and Crobat are active. Crobat then free retreating to put the Feraligatr back into the active. It could take the knockout on Cleffa. Prizing still 2-2, it's anyone's game right now. And a pass will not come in with Feraligatr, doesn't want to risk it. Now with Vending Mime down, Machamp can still come in. Oh! It's the item finder. Is this for Gust? It's for Gust. Gonna go for it. Gamble.deck is ready. Gust's in the Feraligatr. Hurricane Punch needs 2 heads out of 4 flips. Look for your even numbers here, Hurricane Punch. One, 2, that's enough. 2 out of 4. It's a big knockout. Takes a whole pile off the board. Machamp undamaged. Prizes 1-2. Only 1 prize needed for Machamp now. Only Bats and an Igglybuff to stare down Machamp. This is probably going to be it. Golbat tags a Cleffa for 10. Could win off of Cleffa prizing here. Needs to baby stall. Passes out. Passes, turns back. Igglybuff in the active. Just gonna go for Hurricane Punch to try to end the game. Blows on the dice because it works every time. It is a Tails on the Baby rule. Passes back. All Water Energy. That would have been really useful earlier. Passes back. Fighting Energy in the hand. Counting the deck, they're getting really thin. Could deck out or could take prizes with Surprise Bites on this Cleffa. Fighting Attach for turn to the Machoke on the bench. I doubt we'll see headlocks happen, but rolling again for Hurricane Punch. It's a heads on the Baby rule. Now rolling 4. Hurricane Punch for 0 on a Baby. It happened again. I feel like this happens a lot more than it should. There's the Surprise Bite. That's a prize. Cleffa's off the bench now. 4 Water Energy in hand for Feraligatr. Prizing is 1-1. A final Crobat would just be 10 damage off from taking another knockout on the final benched Cleffa. Retreats the Cleffa out to wall with Resistance? But Resistance is off due to Vending Mime, so it's just 70 HP up front. There is a computer search. Not gonna go looking for anything though, just gonna roll for Hurricane Punches. Needs 3 heads to win the game. There are 2 heads. So that is 60 out of 70 damage to this Crobat. Oh my gosh. Oh, and there's a Golbat, but there's no Zubat. Getting the damage on this Cleffa is just gonna be a little tricky. Retreating out the injured Golbat, or the injured Crobat, to put a fresh one in. 4 Water Energy in the hand. Turns pass back. Rolling for Hurricane Punch again. 3 heads needed. 1, 2, I can't see off screen. There it is. That's game. Final prize goes to Machamp, and the last prize was Porygon. What was prized for Bats? It was a Feraligatr, a huge prize. So very back and forth game, fun by both sides. So many flips. So much WotC. Comment, like, subscribe for more. We will catch you next time.